Welcome to the New Strength Way, a podcast made for empowering people to become their strongest selves through movement, education, and connection.
What's up, guys? Jacob and Nath back for another episode of the New Strength Way podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the idea of, do you need to be flogging yourself in the gym every single session? And it seems to be a pretty common one at the moment. The fitness industry is really taking this stance of like, everyone needs to be on high intensity conditioning work to get results, and what we've found over time is it doesn't seem to be true. I think if we look back at fitness overall in the industry, how it's been over the last 20 years or so, it's just always been this sustainable approach of good nutrition, lifting weights a little bit of high intensity work, some lower intensity cardio even as a benefit to that, and then versus something else. And that something else has changed from like spin classes to aerobics to Zumba to like whatever it is. It always swings one side or the other. We got onto like boot camps and then CrossFit, and some of these things have added quite a bit of value to the industry as well, and we don't want to take away from that, but it adds value as part of a regular training program. And it seems that at the moment everyone's pushing that is the regular training program. So to start off with, Nate, what's some of our experiences that we've found with some of our clients that have come from that background?
Normally their progress, it depends what one of those things you want to refer to, except normally it comes to a point where their progress is stalled, and that's just due to there's no, like, I guess for lack of a better term, progressive overload or intent. I normally just talk about it to people, it's exercising versus training. And there's a big difference between exercises and training. Exercise is to burn calories for the sake of burning calories, I think, personally. That's how I talk about it and view it. And then training is training for a specific outcome. And I think if you're training for the outcome of calories burned, then you'll find yourself at a screeching stop pretty quickly with your results. And especially, like, that's fine when it's fun and enjoyable, but when things get tough, and they always do, no matter what you're doing, that's when it's really hard, I think, for people to stay motivated just to train hard. And that's it. Like, there has to be more underlying there, and it depends what you're doing. Like, if you're speaking about like boot camps or like F45 and things like that, they definitely have their place, but I view them to take someone from point A to point B, and then C, D, E, F, G, there's more to it. And some people are happy just exercising and burning calories, but I know for me personally, I want to do more than that. If I wanted to burn calories, I'd just go for a walk. Like, I wouldn't do high intensity just to do that. Like, I don't find it personally enjoyable to feel like I'm going to die for an hour, and if really all I did was burn calories, I didn't really develop any skills, I didn't develop any strength. And that's the thing with those like high intensity conditioning workouts, I guess. There's no significant loading to cause an adaptation through strength. Yeah. Like, there just isn't. I
guess the big thing there is
once you get to a certain point, I should say.
The limitation of the benefits can be covered by other places is the big thing. Like, you do get fitness benefits, you do get health benefits from your high intensity training, but you can also
definitely, and that's why it's like, it's fine for exercise.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's like, Nate, I just want to be fitter, lose a little bit of weight, I don't care about anything else, I'd say just exercise in some capacity, do something you enjoy, and the enjoyment will probably carry you through. And if someone wants to actually have specific goals, like they want to get stronger, or they want to rehab something, or they want this specific thing, then there has to be specificity in the training, and it has to be training, it can't be exercising on its own, if that makes sense.
And let's talk about, like, we've got a couple of cases of our clients that have been in those types of training, and they've enjoyed it, that's one of the things that we find that's pretty common is the girls and guys that are in this point is they kind of feel like something's wrong, whether it be with them because like they're really enjoying the training, they love going there, but all of a sudden they're not getting results and they don't know why they're not getting the results that are after. They've been told, all right, you just need to train more often, you just need to train harder when you train, and they've done that, but then they're still not seeing any more results on the side of that. Some of these guys that we've had come over to us there, we've then scaled them back to a more sustainable approach to their training, and we've been able to see that they've lost the body fat that they've been trying to do while they were on the high intensity cardio as many days a week as possible. They've been able to improve their strength, improve their muscle definition and tone, and in that time they're actually training less than what they were beforehand. And I guess that's one of the big things is why we're so strongly in belief of this is if we can take somebody from investing less hours than they were doing before, they're not feeling like they're beat down all the time from having to flog themselves in the gym every day, and they're getting better results, or they're actually getting results again where they weren't beforehand. That's a win on all counts, because we've just given one of those guys one time back. We've given them energy back because they're not using as much of it and wasting it elsewhere. And then we're taking them into a point where they're doing things that they never knew that they could. Like one of our clients, for example, that started with us earlier this year has been able to do those things and literally double her best deadlift from what she'd been doing beforehand. And she was so shocked that in a matter of less than 6 months, she was able to double her strength.
And that helps with and I think that's where most people get stuck, is they're just not strong enough. And I know we speak about that a lot, Jake, but in that like high intensity setting, and I mentioned before, there's no progressive overload in strength. So you'd meet the weights, and once you've met the weights, there's no significant stimulus to adapt to. So for lack of a better term, if the weight doesn't get heavier over time, there is no change, because your body doesn't need to warrant a change to do the work. So that's where I guess they train harder and faster and harder and faster, because you've reached your capacity of strength, so you're just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Where the person that's not that strong doesn't have a high output, so they don't burn that many calories, even if they are training 6 days a week. So if you get them twice as strong, then in those sessions they might do 1 a week or 2 a week. They're still going to burn twice as many calories. And then when it comes down to energy expenditure, when they're looking at weight loss as a whole, like it's going to be so much easier for the stronger person.
Well, and that's the thing. Most girls talk about that guys have it so much easier, that they can lose weight so much easier, and the big part of that is that their resting metabolism is higher, which is because of that they have more muscle, right?
More muscle, a little bit of hormones come into it as well.
Primarily it's physical muscle size, and so that guys and girls of the exact same weight, size and muscle actually have pretty similar metabolic rates.
Pretty close.
It's pretty close. There's not much of a change in there, and that's where you look at it as like, okay, well for girls, how can we maximize your metabolism on a day-to-day basis? And that's the thing that is probably the forgotten part, because we look at how much does your exercise actually influence your total calorie output of the day, and there's a fair bit of conjecture on it, but it's always less than 50%. No matter how much you're training, it's not more than 50% of your calories expended. And there's actually a limitation on it as well. There's studies that have shown that after a certain point of like exercise in a day, your body's not going to actually burn any more calories, because it's going to take away from other functions to limit what you actually burn. There's a total set point, and then if you're doing that in say your first hour and a half of training, then the last half an hour is not actually getting you anywhere. It's actually taking away from your brain's ability to function, or whatever that might be. What it is that these guys and girls need to do if they're feeling like they're flogging themselves in the gym is, I guess we're starting with a couple of days a week of strength focused training. It doesn't need to be like, you don't need to do 1 rep and sit down for 5 minutes like a powerlifter would, but just trying to slowly progressing some weight on the bar. And you can do it in a bunch of different stuff. Like we have a variety of different methods that we rotate through here at the gym that are then going to hit the idea of putting more weight on the bar over time. And that might, like we're talking about over 6 months. We're not talking about over like this week to next week to next week. But then also doing it in a way that's fun, so you're going to get the most out of the training, and it's not going to feel like you're bored while you do it there. Then the next piece is, you can still do your high intensity conditioning, but it doesn't need to be every single day for half an hour or more. Like most of the time you're going to get great results from that sort of stuff, from doing 15 to 20 minutes a couple of days a week. You could probably do it 5 days a week if it's only like 20 to 30 minutes max on top of doing your strength stuff, if you really love it. And then on the outside of that, it's really understanding what the requirements are of food to support your training and help you support your goal, not necessarily what's going to take the most amount of calories away from you, what's going to deprive you of the most amount of food, so that you can get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. I think just education around that in general is the biggest piece.
Awesome. That'll wrap us up. So guys, girls, if you want any help with this and you don't really know how to take this next step, if this is something that you feel like you're in this space right now, feel free to reach out to us, shoot us a message. We're more than happy to just give you a little bit of advice or guidance on that process, or even you can check out some of the programs that are on our blog, on our website that you can pick up that are a really good foundation and a good place to start.
Yeah, and it's just about starting. It's just about starting to introduce strength training, and if you're not already, and starting to do that, and it can just increase and become more if it needs to, but definitely just start and go from there.
Cool. See you next time.